Sabrina Carpenter did not just casually stumble into becoming pop culture's golden girl over a cup of espresso. Behind that bubbly blonde aesthetic lies a $60 million Hollywood bloodline, $21 million in Scientology cash, and the most ruthlessly calculated PR playbook since the Mickey Mouse Club. On paper, her meteoric rise looks like a classic decade-long grind from Disney Channel child star to an overnight global phenomenon. But across the internet, thousands of fans and critics are asking a much darker question. How much of this breakout was truly organic, and how much was engineered from the shadows? Digging past the polished pop surface reveals deep industry ties, calculated lawsuits, and a series of meticulously timed controversies, from messy public love triangles to provocative visuals that literally triggered a federal investigation inside the Catholic Church. Was this sudden surge to A-list status the result of unvarnished talent, or the payoff of a high-stakes corporate machine designed to wipe her innocent past clean? The internet has receipts and the timeline does not lie. Let us dive straight into the evidence. To really understand the machine powering Sabrina Carpenter, you have to look past the charts and rewind way before she started serving up espresso on arena stages. The official narrative sells the classic story of a small-town Pennsylvania girl who simply worked her way into pop royalty. But internet sleuths were quick to pull back the curtain, uncovering a massive Hollywood connection that complicated that entire self-made storyline. Her maternal aunt is Nancy Cartwright, the legendary voice behind Bart Simpson, and an industry heavyweight sitting on an estimated $60 million net worth. By age 12, Sabrina was already in rooms with legends like Robin Williams, getting the kind of access most aspiring child actors could never dream of. That sparked an immediate meltdown across Reddit and TikTok, with people debating whether the nepo-baby label applied. Let's be real. In Hollywood, nepotism is not just a leg up, it is an express elevator straight past the audition room. Then the internet dug even deeper into the rabbit hole. Cartwright is publicly documented as one of the biggest financial donors to the Church of Scientology, holding the title of Patron Laureate after giving over $21 million to the International Association of Scientologists. $21 million to Scientology, and yet mainstream media treated it like a cute family footnote. While online critics love speculating about whether high-level ties quietly greased the wheels, public records show zero legal evidence that this money bought Sabrina's Disney role. Still, when old posts resurfaced showing Cartwright hyping up a 17-year-old Sabrina as smart and sexy, people could not help but side-eye the proximity between Hollywood royalty and controversial institutions. Sabrina has always referred to her aunt as a legend, claiming she simply learned from watching her career rather than receiving direct industry favors. Skeptics argue that Hollywood rarely runs on pure coincidence. While family money cannot write chart-topping hits, having a multimillionaire insider in your corner clears paths in ways a standard Disney open call never could. But family wealth was only the setup. Her real battle started the minute corporate contracts collided with the dark reality of teen fame. Breaking out of the Disney machine has always been a legal and psychological trap for child stars, and Sabrina walked right into it. After years of playing the wholesome best friend on Girl Meets World, shifting into a respected adult artist meant tearing down a corporate-approved identity. Sabrina admitted in interviews that the Disney label felt like an inescapable box, leaving the industry to write off her talent as juvenile and strictly one-note. But behind the bubbly press junkets and the fight for creative control, a serious financial war was brewing behind closed doors. Back in 2017, her former music managers Stan Rogo and Elliot Lurie hit Sabrina, her parents, and her current manager with a massive lawsuit. They claimed they built her early music career from the ground up, only to get fired in 2014 and cheated out of royalties from her first 2 studio albums. That courtroom fight exposed the ugly underbelly of young Hollywood, where predatory contracts and money grabs are routine. Sabrina did not back down. She took the fight to the California Appellate Court, using the California Talent Agencies Act to prove her ex-managers were operating as unlicensed agents. That move completely nuked their contract claims and threw the entire lawsuit out without costing her a dime. She took all that corporate frustration and turned it straight into fuel for her breakout single, Sue Me. Fans loved the defiance. cheering her on for beating old-school industry suits at their own game. At the same time, cultural critics noticed a major pivot in her branding. She was ditching the innocent victim role for an unapologetic, sharp-tongued edge. Sabrina proved she could run circles around veteran Hollywood lawyers, but navigating boardroom politics was nothing compared to the emotional fallout of a full-blown teen drama. Just as the courtroom dust settled, an explosive romantic fallout threw her straight into a public controversy that almost derailed her entire career. In early 2021, the pop landscape detonated when Olivia Rodrigo dropped Driver's License. The Raw breakup track set off a massive online witch hunt. The second Gen Z listeners locked onto that brutal line about a mysterious blonde girl who was so much older. The internet wasted no time linking the drama to a messy, real-life love triangle with High School Musical star Joshua Bassett. Overnight, Sabrina was cast as public enemy number 1, facing a brutal wave of viral hate, endless TikTok theories, and non-stop cyberbullying. For most artists, getting villainized on that scale would have been a career-ending disaster. Instead of laying low and waiting for the storm to pass, Sabrina leaned all the way into the fire. She dropped the fiery response track Skin, hitting back with lines about getting under someone's skin and brushing off the controversy by singing that blonde was just the only rhyme. It was a massive gamble that split the internet right down the middle. Half the timeline dragged her for picking a fight with a 17-year-old newcomer, while the other half praised her for standing her ground against an out-of-control digital mob. When an artist gets villainized by millions over a teen heartbreak track, is firing back with an aggressive rebuttal like Skin a brilliant reclamation of power, or does it cross the line into punching down at a younger peer? Drop your unfiltered take below, because the internet is still fighting over where self-defense ends and calculated PR warfare begins. Pop culture commentators quickly realized this exact controversy became the ultimate turning point for her career. By refusing to play the quiet victim, she leveled up from a forgotten Disney alum to a main character in mainstream pop. That endless stream of drama handed her the kind of algorithmic reach and viral momentum that traditional Disney marketing could never buy. Sabrina did not just survive the hate mob, she monetized it. But as the love triangle faded and her streaming numbers exploded, critics started noticing something deliberate about how unavoidable she had suddenly become. The conversation quickly shifted from teen romance drama to a much heavier industry accusation. By the time Sabrina locked down the opening slot on Taylor Swift's record-shattering Eras Tour, her rise to the top looked unstoppable. But playing sold-out stadiums also brought intense scrutiny from critics who questioned whether this sudden pop takeover was actually organic. Listeners across X and Reddit started calling out streaming platforms, annoyed that her songs were being forcefully jammed into autoplay queues and random recommendations after completely unrelated tracks. That fueled a massive wave of industry plant claims, with critics arguing that major label cash was manufacturing her success instead of letting listeners decide for themselves. Music data reports and streaming breakdowns backed this up, showing that Spotify's autoplay and Smart Shuffle pushed her tracks at 3 times the industry average, kicking off a major debate about modern digital payola. At the exact same time, internet sleuths began digging through her past acting roles, finding moments that clashed hard with her shiny feminist image. But instead of releasing a generic apology, her team executed classic misdirection: shift the spotlight immediately toward high-voltage visual controversy. To make sure nobody ever associated her with her squeaky clean Disney days again, Sabrina went all in on an overtly provocative aesthetic built on vintage pinup tropes, hypersexualized humor, and pure shock value. During her live arena performances of Juno, she turned suggestive stage routines into a viral nightly routine. The clips pulled in hundreds of millions of views on TikTok, but they also sparked major pushback from parents who were shocked to see literal parental advisory warnings popping up on stadium screens while their young daughters watched from the crowd. The controversy quickly blew up into a full-scale debate as critics began tearing into her visuals and high-fashion magazine spreads. Users across social media called out obvious visual nods to classic Lolita themes, accusing her campaign of intentionally mixing childlike innocence with adult themes just to buy cheap viral outrage. The backlash hit a boiling point over her suggestive album cover shoots, with critics calling the submissive poses a huge step backward that completely contradicted the feminist messaging in her music. When questioned about the artistic direction, Sabrina claimed those references were never on her mood board and insisted she had never even seen the movie. Online analysts were not buying it, pointing out how rehearsed the explanation sounded. In the modern pop ecosystem, leaning into taboo visuals is the ultimate cheat code for dominating the conversation. Do you see this hyper-provocative, Lolita-adjacent imagery as an artist satirizing male gaze tropes on her own terms? Or is it just the classic Hollywood playbook of commodifying shock value disguised as feminist empowerment? Let me know how you read these visuals, because the gap between her feminist talking points and the actual marketing photos could not be wider. She knew exactly which cultural buttons to push to keep the outrage machine running non-stop. But if you think outsmarting managers and trolling pop stars was wild, wait until you see how her music video literally triggered a federal FBI wiretap. Her strategy of manufactured controversy hit an all-time peak when she dropped the music video for Feather. Shot inside the historic Annunciation of the Blessed Virgin Mary Church in Brooklyn, the video showed her dancing in a short tulle dress in front of altars decorated with pastel coffins. The church's reaction was immediate fury. The Catholic Diocese of Brooklyn publicly dragged the video, stripped the presiding Monsignor of his duties for a total lapse in judgment, and held a formal mass of reparation just to spiritually cleanse the building. The church fallout quickly escalated into a massive federal corruption investigation when follow-up church audits caught that same priest, Monsignor Jamie Gigantiello, illegally funneling roughly $1.9 million in church funds to a top aide of indicted New York City Mayor Eric Adams. Instead of issuing a safe, cookie-cutter PR apology, Sabrina dropped a hilarious, unbothered one-liner to reporters, casually noting that they got approval in advance and adding that Jesus was, after all, a carpenter. When federal subpoenas and political chaos rocked City Hall, Sabrina turned the scandal into viral comedy live on stage at Madison Square Garden, joking with the arena crowd about whether they should talk about how she got the mayor indicted. The internet ate it up, turning a potential PR nightmare into another massive win that solidified her reputation as an unbothered pop provocateur. She kept doubling down on that boundary-pushing image, turning the live outros of her track nonsense into a viral showcase of dirty punchlines. From raunchy lines at Coachella to explicit jokes on the BBC that forced the network to delete the performance from their official archives, she pushed every line she could find. Commentators started pointing out the undeniable pattern. Her entire rise was fueled by a series of perfectly timed controversies. Every single lawsuit, moral panic, and messy headline was flipped into fuel to turn public outrage into pure streaming numbers. Sabrina Carpenter did not break the Hollywood matrix, she mastered it. Talent gets you in the room, but weaponized friction is what buys the penthouse. By exploiting moral panics, algorithmic loops, and our endless appetite for drama, she proved that in today's attention economy, being universally liked is a liability, while being relentlessly talked about is pure currency. Which leaves us with the ultimate question. Did Sabrina truly dismantle the exploitative pop star playbook on her own terms, or did she just become its most brilliant and willing participant? If you appreciate these deep dive breakdowns into the dark mechanics of viral fame, make sure to hit that subscribe button, leave a like, and drop your thoughts down in the comments below.